Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Ducksy Gaming, and a very quick video going over the two Rain of Arrows gems because they've been released about 12 hours before league start. Just to go through whether I think they're gems that I would use in the build, and the very quick answer is no, they're both terrible. I'm just going to go through and explain the reasoning why, because some people will probably look at the one that fires 40 odd arrows and think it's amazing, but I'll explain why it isn't. So the first gem we have is Rain of Arrows Artillery. So what this does is it fires 26 arrows, that will be with quality, and it basically, instead of spreading randomly, they go in a direct line. Now this could potentially give better single target because the groupings might allow you to hit a boss maybe 6 to 7 times instead of 3 to 4 like normal Rain of Arrows. The problem is this will clear like shit because it's just going to fire in a straight line. It's not as easy now as just to say, have a gem swap because we want it qualityed, we want it vialed. So it's very expensive to run 2 gem setups. So overall, this is a no-no. The other option would be, do you put it in a ballista? But then Artillery Ballista already exists, does more damage, and is free. So again, you're not going to do it. Yes, Rain of Arrows fires 26 arrows, but it's got obviously 45% effective attack damage. You still have to give up another gem slot for your ballista totem. So overall, I don't see any use of this. I am going to test both gems once we're, a couple of days into the league and I've got hold of both versions just to make sure they function as badly as I think they're going to. So this is definitely a no-no, but for single target, might be better. Now, onto this gem, which got me slightly excited when I first saw the 41 arrows. Then the more I read the gem, the more I hated it. Essentially, this is exactly the same as Rain of Arrows. When you read the description, word for word, it is precisely the same. So all this is extra arrows. And the way they've coded Rain of Arrows is whatever the base gem is, that's what they look at as the projectile count. And then any projectiles that get added on top of that just increase the AoE. So it's very likely what you'll find with this is that you get a bigger screen coverage, but you're getting much, much less damage. So the effective damage on this gem is 35%. On Rain of Arrows, it's 60%. So basically, your arrows are doing just more than half the damage they would do with a normal Rain of Arrows gem. The issue with it is hardly any of these are actually going to land on your boss. So I've tested putting loads of different multiple projectile gems into a Rain of Arrows setup, and you get about 1 extra arrow per 9 to 10 arrows landing on a target because they're all meant to just go outside of the arrows that are already there. The idea is the more arrows you build up, the more coverage of the screen you get, not the more will hit the target. And this half of the arrows will land directly on their targets if there's targets in range is nonsense. It doesn't work and it never has. I've tested it. Other people have tested it. It's 3 to 4 arrows on a normal sized target will land on an enemy. That's with 21, 22 arrows, whatever it is at the moment. You then go up to like 30 and it goes up by maybe 0.3, 0.4. So I think this gem, you may be going to land with 1 to 2 more arrows maximum, which will be about 50% increase, but you're losing 50% damage. So it just doesn't work. You're going to still be sort of 30% lower on your damage. Your clear is probably going to be worse because you're going to maybe need 2 to 3 arrows to kill packs instead of 1 to 2. So overall, I just see no way that any of these gems are any good. And in all honesty, they just seem like super lazy game design by someone who maybe doesn't even understand how the skill works. I don't know whether these were the gems that didn't get done. They've handed it out to all of their team and they've just said, whatever it is, it's got to be done by this time. Get it in and we'll push it live. Maybe they'll change them in the future. For Rain of Arrows, it's unlikely because it's not a very popular skill. But yeah, overall, I'm pretty disappointed in all of the gems. Overall, I think this is definitely a nerf, these gems to 95% of builds. There are some fun, quirky interactions with some of the gems, but overall, not for me. There is one way that this gem will be good, and that is if you have a stacked character, you only want to play Rain of Arrows and you only want a map. This will double your coverage on the screen, basically. The way the extra arrows work, like I've explained, is 95% of them, unless you get lucky, are going to go outside of where your normal 26, 27 projectiles are going to land. So what that means is instead of covering half the screen with Rain of Arrows, you might cover 3/4. So I'll try and demonstrate it in this June's map. So I've just got Rain of Arrows in, 2 prods from a bow, 1 from a quiver, and then 2 from the tree to try and simulate what the quality of the Rain of Arrows will be like. I've actually gone 1 arrow too many, but so we're at 27, whereas with the new Rain of Arrows, you'd be 26. So we'll just go through and kill a couple of monsters, and you'll see it's sort of about half the screen coverage, and the more monsters that come into view, the more it sort of covers the screen. So if you've got lots of targets, try and group some up. As you can see, if you've got lots of targets, the coverage is pretty good. So we'll go back out, just get to safety because I don't have any DPS in this build. I'm about to have less. If we put in our lesser projectiles and awaken GMP, our projectile count goes up to 34. So it's going to be even more than this because you're going to have 8 more projectiles. But we'll go in and you should notice, hopefully, a difference with the spread. You can see arrows are actually starting to hit the edge of the screen. So if you were to group packs up, you can see you are covering pretty much the entire width of the screen where those enemies were, because Rain of Arrows will auto-target enemies if there's enemies within the AoE, and the AoE counts for where your projectile spread would normally land. So I think we're done with this. We'll go and find one more pack and try and group some enemies up. But I do think if you get your character stacked... No, we haven't got any left. This could be good, because that obliterated all of those enemies, and there are about 10 or 12 of them. So I think there is a case, end game, when you are maybe got the DPS to kill stuff like Uber or Maven. I think this gem could be slotted in for the normal gem and go into your mapping strategy. But you are going to need decent DPS on your gear because you will lose a lot of single target damage and per arrow damage, but your coverage is going to go up massively, which means you can actually farm things like Legion and Breach with this skill because you're basically going to cover the whole screen. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about one niche use case of the build if you wanted to stay on Rain of Arrows and not transition into another build. But for Rain of Arrows, yep, don't worry about it. I wouldn't even bother quality in your gem because it makes very little difference adding those 4 projectiles. Just get your normal Rain of Arrows gem, get it vialed, job done, saves you a lot of currency. That's it for the video. I'll be live on Twitch about half an hour before League start to just go over the gems again if people missed this video. And then obviously live for the League. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and see you in the next one.